Hello, everyone. It's me. It's your crazy girl here. And, well, I better not plug that in, it'll mess it up. Okay, so here I am, and I made that video about the AI thing. And, what's interesting is so I've always had these visions of things, ideas. I would call my big person. And 9 years old. So let's just get into it. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. As a kid, when I was about 9, I had this huge idea. I saw the visuals, I saw all of it, of a set of characters who lived in a garden. It was flowers with faces, and they lived in their garden community, and they had their dramas and all these things. And it was really cute and sweet, but also like there was drama, kind of like My Little Pony. Friendship is Magic lore, if you know what that is. There's a lot of drama in that with Princess Celestia and all these things. If you know, you know. But, if you don't know, you don't know. But anyway, I had this whole idea. I spent like my entire spring break drawing out all these characters. I had like a whole notebook of the faces of the flowers. They're all individual names, characters, the whole garden, the town, everything. And wrote the book. And then I turned on some cartoons. It's like Saturday morning and I'm watching cartoons. And this ad comes on, and it's this book for flowers, flower friends or something, flower face friends, sweet friend, something like that. And I'd never heard of it, hadn't heard any hint that this thing was going to drop into the universe. But it was exactly what I had just drawn up and written. And I remember as a kid sitting there in front of the TV and going in my mind, like, what in the heck? What just happened? How did someone steal my idea? And it was always like someone was stealing my idea, it felt like. But now I've come to realize that it's more of me just intuiting things in the universe. And I also feel like I sort of manifest it. And it's like an instant manifestation, something that did not exist yesterday. I'll think of it. It's a great idea. And then all of a sudden it exists. And here's another example. So I'm a songwriter, and I've always had my body issues. My mother told me I was ugly, and I am. I'm pretty, I feel like I'm pretty ugly, but that's whatever. That's life. On the outside, I'm okay, but on the outside, I'm pretty goofy looking and whatever. And so I wrote to battle that. I was having a major issue with my body dysmorphic disorder. And I wrote the song called Beautiful. And I wrote about how I always felt out of place. I never felt beautiful, but I was beautiful. And it's just how you look at yourself, and it's how your prism of the world, and it's just all how you see things. And then I wrote at the end of the song, I said, and you are beautiful. We are beautiful. So I write it and I record it, and people are telling me, wow, we really like that song. And then I'm driving down the road, and on the radio, I hear the song Beautiful by Christina Aguilera, that was actually written by Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes. And it was another moment where I thought, what in the heck? What is happening? But also, again, kind of like, wow, did someone steal my idea, or did I intuit it from them? And did I create it in the universe? Did I manifest this? And I feel that it's like all of that. I feel I've tapped in, and creative people tap in, and I definitely have a creative brain. I'm definitely intuitive, like you guys. And um, so I've had many of those experiences where I've thought of these, what I would call brilliant ideas that other people make a million gazillion dollars with. And then I've actually have no money, but it's interesting to be part of that mindset. It's just, I don't have the connections or situation to ever financially benefit off these things. So anyway, yesterday I'm at work. I work all weekend, and I finally have a little break because I'm at the theater and the show starts, and I'm out in the lobby, work in the lobby, and I just get to sit there for a while, and I usually just draw a lot. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I get a vision, and the vision is AI, personal AI. Now, there's been a lot of talk about AI recently, and all these centers that are guzzling up all our water, producing massive amount of heat. They're going to cause another dust bowl, is what Spirit told me. And so clearly we can't have these AI centers. And 45 said that he's going to call it violent extremism if you say anything bad about AI. But the thing is, nobody's violent. It's not violent to dislike something. Violence is when you hurt people or unalive people, destroy things. But it's not violent to disagree with an idea, especially something that's going to end up killing us all. Um, it's not only natural evolution to want to survive and save the planet. I mean, these things are going to be like asteroids that are going to destroy us. They're going to destroy humanity. And even AI would tell us not to use these centers. So it's been controversial. And as you see all these stupid AI videos that we don't need, and we don't need AI summaries because we can look it up on our own. We got books, we got libraries, we got search engines. We can look stuff up manually. And we need to use our brain. We need to use our brain. And I'm very passionate about it. And just lately, I've been really upset, like everyone else, that this whole thing is being pushed on us by greedy people when we should be pushing the act of saving our planet and preserving what we have left of this poor planet. And isn't it illegal to litter? Isn't it illegal to pollute? You get fined, you could go to jail. So this is like times a billion, these centers. So of course we're going to oppose them. So very passionate about it. I'm just really against all AI at this point because we're not ready for it. Now, I like the idea of AI. I even wrote a book about it. And I think in the future, it'll be great. But right now, it's just not a good idea. We're not implementing it properly. So anyway, I have this idea of personal AI, and it's almost like spirit. I don't hear voices, but just this really strong message and imagery of personal AI. And they tell me personal AI, your phone, your computer, your tablet. And then I'm like, no, that, but also like almost like your Wi-Fi router on the outside of your devices. So in your home, or maybe it'd be in your neighborhood, but it's not cloud-based. And as I said, not omnipresent. It's accessible. And then it would have a chip. So all night I kept trying to think, how would we implement this? How would this work? Because people were telling me, because I made a post yesterday as I showed, and everybody was like, this is a silly idea. You don't know anything about AI, do you? And all these things, and that's not going to work. And again, yesterday, the idea of personal AI did not exist. It was something that Spirit told me. I hadn't heard anything about personal AI. It's all been cloud-based, right? And leading to these huge centers, and which seem excessive and nefarious. And so anyway, all night I wake up and I'm like, how would it work? How would it work? How would it work? How would it work? And I get a chip. It would work with the chip. And the chip would download information periodically, but it would still be in your own home base, off the cloud, right? And it's kind of like how I have a laptop that I have a used laptop because my old one died. And I turn it off. I shut the lid. It's down at night, and then I open it up, and it's updated magically. Well, every once in a while, it updates. I'm not on the cloud. I'm not in anything, but it updates. It's like that. So the chip in this personal AI device, like a router in your home, that's not polluting the planet, is very simple, would update once in a while. The chip of information would update with new information, not be on the cloud again. And you could even turn it off or on, and you pay a subscription fee, like $9 a month for it. Okay. So it's completely up to you. So I think of all that. And then this morning I hear about NVIDIA has created a personal AI, and I'm like, whoa. And so I come on and I'll talk about it, and I'm like, and it would have a chip. It would have a chip. And then I open up the internet again, and it says another article. It was on YouTube that NVIDIA also has a chip for AI personal usage that would download information. That's what it's like being psychic. And, when people tell you, you're crazy, you're this, you're that. But I literally was told this, and relentlessly, that this is what's going to happen. And I think it's because we need to know that this can and should happen, because it'll save our planet. It'll save our planet. So it's really important. And you guys know I don't like to come on camera because I think I'm terrible looking, and that'll never change. But I just think it's important to say this, that one, wow, interesting how I thought of it. Kitty cat's going to come in. Interesting how I thought of it. And each time I thought of something, it instantly manifested. So, like, I think of the AI, personal AI device, like a router, and it instantly manifests. And then I start talking about a chip, and it instantly manifested. Where, like, an hour before, it didn't exist. So, I'm literally speaking things into the universe, but also I'm psychically picking up on things. But anyway, it could save our planet. So I just want to talk about that. I'll leave it at that for now. But and I'll talk about some other things here. But if you have anything you want to say, any questions, let me know. Political. I don't have my cards, but I can just intuit whatever. But okay, so I want to talk about today. We'll just go through some news. 45 said that he's done with. Oops, my PTSD. Kjorn, don't do that. Don't bark. Okay, that's what PTSD looks like. I just jumped out of my skin. Okay. Okay, so 45 says, "Oh, I'm done with Iran. I'm so tired of it." He is. He's tired of it. He thought it was going to be done the day he did it. He thought it was going to be Venezuela, done in a weekend, take their money, kidnap their leader, which I think Maduro was in on it, for entertainment purpose only. Take the money, put it offshore account, yada yada yada, done. Next country done. Next country Cuba done. Next country Greenland. And boom boom boom. He's going to attack all these countries. Well, Iran has really put him behind because Iran was not the country to mess with. And when he heard today, okay, so what happened? They were going to finally do some ceasefire peace talks to end this thing and make agreements, which would obviously include the Strait and gas, oil, all that. But then it got ruined because Trump's buddy, Putin, decided to attack Lebanon, or maybe it was Bibi did it. One of his evil buddies did it, and that screwed everything up. So, because Iran's not gonna put up with that, and so back on, no agreement. And so now that he knows and they said never, they said no agreement ever. You screwed it all the way up. So now, and here's the thing. So now he says, "I'm done with it. I'm so done with this." But you can't be done with it. You started it. You started this war. But he's tired of it. He wants to just go golf and chill. He wants to enjoy his summer. Well, we're done with it, but we have to deal with it. We're having to deal with the prices. Now, yesterday I noticed that gas was lower, but it'll go back up now. I've imagined that the gas prices got lower because they put in the summer blend and it has more ethanol in it. And I think that lowered because it was at $4.20 a gallon. And now yesterday it was like $4.80 or $4.90 or something like that. I mean, $3.80, $3.90. Anyway, he says he's done. It's not over, obviously. And I just remembered about the AI. So they said, I posted that thing about how, by the way, I think my ad bill showed up on the front porch. I don't like to use Amazon, but I have headaches regularly when I wake up in the morning for whatever reason. And I had to order some Advil, and it's probably out there right now. I'll have to grab it in a second. Because I forgot to buy it yesterday. Yeah, it's on the front porch. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Whatever. So, the thing, okay, so I just saw this thing about how, let me look it up. I posted it, I posted it. Take out my glasses. Oh gosh. Right here. Okay. I swear I posted. Maybe I reposted it. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, this is what I posted. It says Trump's financial disclosure form shows he bought between 1 million and 5 million in Dell computer stock earlier this year. Then last week, the Pentagon awarded Dell a contract worth more than $9 billion. So here's the thing. I find that interesting because in June 2024, before the election in 2024, the contest, Elon teamed up with Dell, Elon teamed up with Dell to build an AI supercomputer. Supermicro, Dell, shares jump as Elon Musk calls them suppliers to XAI supercomputer project now. Dell is in voting machines. So you put it together, right? All those nefarious feelings I've had about them pushing AI on us in these centers that is nefarious, and it's before the midterms. And 45 is like, we can't lose because they've got to stay in power. He's determined he's not going to lose, whatever he has to do. So think about it. These AI centers are being pushed on us. We know it's not just so we can make goofy profile pictures and videos. It's for something else. And then, so now we see that they're using the AI. So it's AI mixed with Dell and the voting machines and Elon and these supercomputers. They don't want us to have personal AI. They don't want us to be able to vote. They don't want us to save the planet. And I feel like afterwards, they probably would, after he's secured, they probably would destroy a lot of these plants, but because once they try to, here's the thing, I don't think he's going to win the midterms, but that's what I said. Like Kamala won last time. She won. So the thing is, we're going to win. Democrats are going to win, but that means we're going to be allowed to win. And that's what, obviously worries me. Is anyone on here? I know I'm rambling. So anyway, so that worries me, and that's something to tackle. And that's obviously another reason why we need to get into their brains that we have to have these personal AI, and that's our viable option. And we need to stop this control over us and our, whatever. Okay, moving on. Different. Not a great topic. Day 45 said he's going to sue E. Jean Carroll and go to jail because she probably didn't say something that he liked. And the thing is, I know it's, oh man, so I may not be able to be on here long. You notice how I was okay until just now, and it's being weird. Okay, I'll stay on here unless it keeps being weird, then I'll have to get off. Okay, so I don't know. That enraged me when I read that he's going to sue E. Jean Carroll and try to put her in jail. And I always said that I'm going to say the grapist, that this is more of his graping behavior to shame and control and hurt her and stop her. And it's continuing the grape, the attack. It's continuing the attack, the essay. He was in trial twice. He was found guilty twice. They had evidence twice, testimony twice. He was found guilty of essaying E. Jean Carroll. Now people are like, but he didn't physically grape her, but he did. He violated her, and he jizzed all over her dress, for lack of a better word. So how would you like it if you're a guy? Let's say guys out there, because I think guys have trouble understanding this. Let's say you're a guy, and you're walking through the men's department, and let's say 45 grabs you, and he pushes you into the men's dressing room, and he sticks his finger up your anal cavity, or his prick up your, I'm sorry, up your, behind, and then ejaculates all over your pants or your shirt. And then when you try to tell people about it, he calls you ugly, you're too ugly, you're a horse face, you're not good enough. He wouldn't do it to someone like you. He didn't say he wouldn't do it, but he just wouldn't do it to you. You're not good enough, you're a liar. Wouldn't you call that violation? Wouldn't you call that rape? Because I would call that rape. And my power is not working. So just with that, I may have to turn this off. Interesting. Let me see why it's working. What's wrong with you? Is that what? Work. Okay, that works. So my whole point is it is grape, and also grape, SA violation. I'll say violation. Violation is not just penetration, it is the hunting, stalking, the control of a body, grabbing someone, pinning them against the wall or the floor, what have you, violating your body. Um, it can include suffocation. It's the afterwards where you're told to be quiet and don't talk. And if you do talk, then you are shamed and bullied, and you have attack sent on you by their friends and family and society. And E.Jean Carroll, so if you look at the pattern of behavior, he has the pattern of behavior of a violator. And even now, like him doing this, I always said he would fine her. He would never pay. He would end up finding her money, and he would end up putting her in jail. So he's weaponizing the Justice Department against E. Jean Carroll. And then people say, well, I don't know why she didn't come forward sooner. You don't. You don't see why? Because I see why. This is exactly why survivors don't come forward. And God knows how many he has. And this is how he treated us with the 2020 election. When he wasn't allowed to win. And why wasn't 45 allowed to win in 2020? Because the virus made us all use mail-in ballots, which he couldn't get rid of and not count. They had to be counted. And a whole bunch of us used them because also we were scared of the process with the machines, that he would manipulate them. And so many of us used mail-in ballots, which were counted. And remember, it took almost 4 days for those to all be counted, because it took a while. And it showed that Biden won. Biden won. So, and he's still mad about that. So just like he won't leave his victims alone, he doesn't leave. If you say no or deny him anything, he will not leave you alone. And this is how he works. And this is why I say, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. When you turn, and all the people who are starting to turn against him, all of a sudden they're Democrats or they're rhinos, and he has his attack them. So anyway, poor E. Jean Carroll, but she's going to be okay. And I wrote something, I posted, I said, well, his pattern of behavior is right there in the Epstein files. So bring up all the discovery and bring forth the dress and demand a DNA sample. If you look at the trajectory of her life after his violation, and Bergdorf Goldman in New York, right, in Manhattan, she stopped doing her, she was like a host on TV or something. I think she was like a celebrity around town. She was having a happy life. She was dating. She stopped dating. She stopped all of that. She went incognito. She completely disappeared. And then she bought a gun, which 45 had her apartment raided and had them take her gun. That is such grapist behavior right there. And I don't know how people can't see that. I just don't understand it. It's crazy to me, actually, that people can't see that. So, but the trajectory of his life since he violated her was that he's continued to violate other people and situations and money and an entire country. And then now he's unaliving people in boats in the oceans and other countries and world leaders and children's schools. And I mean, that's the trajectory. That's the pattern of his behavior. Her pattern of behavior is consistent. I don't think we need another trial. And I also think there should be a statute of limitations where you can't sue your victim after you were found guilty twice of violating someone and lying in court and speaking bad against them when you were not supposed to. You can't sue them. You're not allowed. But he's weaponized his DOJ, and that's the real issue right there. So let's talk about his Freedom 250. I guess it was supposed to be like America 250. Now, mind you, with him in office, it was already going to be kind of wonky, but because it was for America, all these artists had agreed to do it, right? Personally, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near that, but they were like, okay, it's a bipartisan, so I can do this. Well, when they found out he had hijacked it, and now it's all him about him, they said, well, no, we're not interested. And now he's like, it was Martina McBride. Now, Milli Vanilli, here's the thing. Milli Vanilli was a lip syncing act. They were cute guys, really cute guys with their dreads and everything. I always thought they were extremely attractive. Um, but it was fake. They were faking the voices, and it was just they were models faking a music duo. So I don't know how they got invited, but that kind of actually makes sense. The fakeness, the the all that. Anyway, the sham, and so even they pulled out. Even they won't do it. Um, I know some other groups. I think Vanilla Ice is like, whatever. I'm gonna do it because I don't care and I'm not about politics. But see, my thing is that you can't do it because what 45 has done to this country and to the immigrants of this country, the rights of people, especially women, children, immigrants, you can't support that. You can't support it. Um, so they're all saying it's. I don't have a political affiliation, but for me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to do it because of all his policies are horrible, horrible policies. So, what else do we have here? Okay, what do I think is going to happen? Well, he said something like, "Well, I don't need them anyway. I'm just going to the biggest, better than Elvis is me, and I'm going to just be there on my." So he's going to have this long speech that he's going to do, like one of his big True Social posts, and he's going to go on and on, probably to the sound of like the America, the national anthem or whatever, and he's going to go on and on and on, kind of like I'm doing right now. And um, boy, maybe the squeaky tank will make an appearance. I think that's going to happen, but it just shows that people aren't supporting him anymore. And he thought he had all the support, he doesn't now. Is there still manga? Yes, and I can say that, but it's like 30% or less. 30. That's not a majority. That's what he's seeing. That is what he's seeing. Now, I was talking the other day about the manga people who are still around, and they say TDS. You have TDS. It was like an intuitive, you know, what I do, but like a psychic, intuitive person, metaphysical. And she had an astrologer on, and they just went on and on about how anyone who would come on and say anything bad about 45 had TDS. And you even know what that means. They're saying that we have a derangement. And I'm like, no, we have CTS, critical thinking syndrome. We think critically. We're looking at the facts. We're looking at the good and the bad, the truths, the untruths. We're searching every corner for what's real, and we're using our logic and discernment. And in any regular society, any president, whatever, you don't have to love a president. You don't have to love Biden. You don't have to love Bush. You didn't have to love Obama. Typically, you wouldn't want to hate them. That was sort of disloyal and unpatriotic to hate a president. And I've never hated a president until now because I can't help it. I've tried not to, but literally can't help it. He's so horrible. 45 is so awful. I can't not hate the guy, and I'm sorry. I hate that I hate him. I really do. But in any regular society, regular presidency, you would dislike policies and maybe dislike someone's character and their behavior and the way they talk and look, whatever, but you don't hate them. And you would get day to day, just live your life. You would be talking about celebrities, movies, maybe a conflict in another country that's that country, right? Not our country, that country. And your own dramas in your own life. Um, but this is like he has hijacked 40. This is different. He has totally hijacked our country and made it all of every day. It's about him every day. This celebration and this thing and that thing. And I'm going to put my face on this and the money. And God, pretty soon he's going to make us all wear T-shirts with his face on it. And I've said that I'm sorry to be negative because I know that in the end we're going to be okay. Good things are going to happen. We're going to get through this. But and that's important to say. But but the thing is, that's what's happening now. If he could tattoo his face inside our eyelids and make us look at his hideous mugshot every day, he would. He literally would. It's crazy. So, what else do I want to say? I think that's about it. Yeah, you got to hang in there. The answer to the midterms is, and I just heard Talarico. Tallarico's going to do well, but the problem is he's in Texas. And I feel, okay, this is what I feel. The plan 45's plan is to put into place what he did to Massey and the recent primaries in Texas, where I kept hearing ballot stuffing because I feel like Massey won in Texas. I don't know who the other person was, but they were supposed to win over who, I can't remember his name, but anyway, in Texas. Ballot stuffing, and they figured out how 45 has figured out how they add these people that he has in these districts. They figured out how to add ballots to cover up what they're missing in comparison to the other person. So this was just with the Republican primaries, the other Republican candidate. How much do we need? It's the 11,780 votes thing that he did in Georgia in 2020. That's what they did for entertainment purposes only recently with these primaries. That he had his people figure out that, okay, so Massey was going to get 50,000, for example, 50,000 votes. So the other candidate needs 51,000 or 70,000. So you got to cover the difference. So ballot stuff the difference. That's what I see happening now. It could be a subtraction of the person's votes to make the person 45 wants win. So which is what happened to Kamala. She was subtracted. Her votes were subtracted. I feel like this is going to be an addition. They're going to add. They're going to ballot stuff, not ballot take. They're going to ballot stuff. And then they could say, we're not stealing because technically they're adding. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be stealing votes. They would be adding votes, which is I think that's their plan. He thinks he's going to win. That's why recently they said, well, we're just going to have Eric Jr. run in New York because they're so confident that this plan's going to work for the midterms that they're just going to do all this and just try to take over. Because again, the plan is to not lose power and to stay in office. And if he loses, his people lose the midterms, which is he's led all these 10 years have led to this midterms, you guys. That's why everything's so crazy right now. Everything has led to this. This is his last chance to stay in power. And okay, so that's their thing. And I also felt like the AI centers are to create different timelines. And people are talking about, I'm sorry, but people are talking about how they're having duplications in their life, like glitches in the matrix where they have 2 items of something that was rare and only 1 item in their life, and now they have 2. And it's because I feel like they're using these AI centers to create, and I go back to Elon's God simulator, to create different timelines so that when 45's people lose the midterms, they switches right back to another timeline. Then we figured out this switches back into another timeline where he's always winning and stays in power. So that's where we have to, I don't know. That's crazy theory, but that's what I'm getting. But it is where we have to learn how to manifest and pray and be active and speak it into existence and beat them at their game. When here in Kansas, what they're doing, and this is, to me, this is part of election cheating. They just said they're closing 8 locations in my area, in my county, 8 voting locations that have never been closed before. They've always been available. They said they're closing those locations. And then, so that's less accessibility. And then they said that people who are trying to register to vote, like today, the website's down and it's not coming back up. So this to me is part of their election cheating. Less locations to vote, less chances to vote. They don't want to count the midterms. The post office won't count the midterms. They won't timestamp the midterms, the mail-in ballots for the midterms. And then no new registration. So let's say you got bumped off the system. They threw you out of the system. And then you go to re-register as a voter. Boom, you're out. They're not going to let you in. That it's done. You're gone and you're going to be out. This is election cheating. But it's not for entertainment purpose only. It is. It's highly corrupt and unconstitutional. So you get purged out of the system and you go back and you can't. So who's left? Now, the problem with that is a whole bunch of Republicans can't stand 45 now as well. So it's not just Democrats. And that's why they're trying to go all through our social media. Like they're going through Reddit posts and all sorts of things, so that they can say, if even if you're not a Democrat, they can start to say, well, I don't like this person's views, so I'm just going to take them off the voter rolls for entertainment purposes only. It's nasty business, y'all. That's what they're doing for entertainment purposes only. Saving my ass, but this is what I see that they're doing. So how do we combat that? Well, we have to keep fighting it in the courts. And I say go to the election office. So let's say you go online and you say, let me check my voter registration. Oh my God, I'm not in the system anymore. So, well, I'll just re-register. Oh my God, it won't let me. Go to your local voting location. Go to your local library and ask for help. There's a reference department in every local library, post offices, city hall. Go and ask for help. Demand that you are allowed to vote. If they can tax you, which we all get taxed, they have to allow you to vote and register to vote. Okay? So just remember that. If you can be taxed, you can be registered to vote, and they have to allow you to vote. So your reference department at your local library, your post office, your city hall, there you go. You have to do it. I wouldn't mail in a ballot. I would ask for a ballot and then drop it off at the voting location. And then check your vote online. Check my vote. There's a system online. Check my vote. That's how we're going to have to beat this. And just town halls. Also, we need to show our vote. And so that when he tries to steal it from us, that we see the difference. So when he says, oh, it was overwhelming, I got 8 million more votes, or my people got 8 million more votes than the Democrats is what he says. And you go, well, I looked around, I didn't see any Trump flags in anyone's yards. In fact, everybody I saw at the rally I went to last week, the peace rally, the No Kings rally, everyone was from all walks of life, and it was packed. It was everyone in my community was there besides 3 people, So your 8 million more doesn't sound right. And also we have to demand audits. We have to demand audits of all the elections. And if it has to be hand counted, so be it. So we have to demand audits. This is how we're going to beat this. I don't know if anyone has any comments. Nope. Or is this on? It's not. Enable chat overlay. I don't know what's going on with that. Doesn't matter. You're good. I think that's about it. Anything else? I mean, what could you say? We got all this horrible stuff going on, but we have good stuff. The horrible stuff going on is all connected to 45. Really awful things. Like him making it so that veterans and people with disabilities can't have service pets, and then will get kicked out of their apartment or house or what have you. That's the most despicable thing I've ever heard. It's just utter. And then the cyanide bombs that are going to kill innocent bunnies and birds and deer and people's dogs and kids running around their field at their, grandma's house out in the field. They're going to get killed. It's already happened. That's why we got rid of these things. Roundup on the soil, on our food, stuff in the water. So, but those are the bad things. He's just, I had this theory. I think I already said this, right? But I was talking about how George Harrison said this too, but it's funny. I was talking about it, and then the next day I heard this quote that George Harrison said the same thing, that we're all water. Spirit source is water. And then we're all drops of water. Some people are in a pond, some people are in a creek, some people are in the ocean, some people are in clouds, but we're all drops of water. And as source, we're all from one big ocean of water, but maybe we're separated by all these little things. And that's what we are. Like, we're in our body, we're in our community, we're in different countries, but we're all water. And then the anti-water, the anti-love, anti-source are people like 45 who are like the heat that's drying up the water. They're the sponges, or the fire. But source, we're all connected, we're all water. Anyway, that's a weird theory. I think that's it. I think I'm going to do a thing about Paul McCartney and his new album because you guys know I love Paul McCartney and the Beatles. And I want to do a thing and I'm going to do that. I might do that here a little bit later. But, um, oh yeah, I was going to channel a message from Linda. I might do that just on my phone in the other room, but I don't know. Thanks for being here. Take care, you guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. Love you. Goodbye. Take care.